The recent string of terrorist attacks, both here and abroad, raising serious questions about immigration. The issue becoming a top priority in the U.S. presidential race, certainly, and even in the vote for Britain's future in the Eurozone. Joining us right now on the phone is KT Zoo Guttenberg, former economics minister under German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Sir, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
You know, we keep seeing different polls and what the indications are in terms of whether or not the UK will vote to leave the Eurozone. What are the implications if that vote is yes, the UK wants to leave?
The implications would be rather severe. The European idea as such would not exist any longer as it used to. We would face severe economic impacts on the continent. Germany would be extremely hard hit as one of the main trading partners of the UK. So would be the Netherlands, so would be Ireland. And the disintegration process we are already facing in the European Union will just continue, which would be a sheer disaster. So all in all, from a security perspective, from an economic perspective, and specifically from a value perspective, Europe would be on the verge of collapse.
You know, one of the worries is that this would be a domino effect, that others would consider leaving as well. And there's been a lot of talk about banks and other financial institutions pulling out of the UK. If, in fact, we were to see the vote to leave materialize, do you think we will see outflows? And why would people pull out? I'm really trying to get at what the specific implications are for trade with the UK and financial services in the UK. Why would everybody pull out?
Well, first of all, it's the only probably happy city in the world would be Frankfurt, because they would profit from that very move. The trade aspects are specifically severe and serious for Germany. The UK is the third largest trade partner. The UK was one of the players who would align with Germany when it came to the question of finding a minority rights within the European Union whenever others came up to somehow soften free trade agreements and other things. The UK would have to renegotiate all free trade agreements around the globe, which would be incredibly hard to do, and it would be a sheer illusion to believe that that could happen within a short time frame. So from a trade perspective, as we are still in these extremely tough negotiations, for instance, for TTIP with the US and other things, we would all be affected by that very issue.
Wow. KT, it's Dagan McDowell, but ultimately, regardless of how Britain votes, don't these nations, Germany and Britain just to name two, need to deal with the influx of immigrants in the way that you've seen, the influx of refugees, particularly in Germany, which is both a burden financially and also a security burden? That's a lot of what has led to this kind of nationalist sentiment, is it not?
It definitely has, and to be honest, from a European perspective and an institutional perspective, we have handled the whole thing very lousily. The emotional impact was big in that very respect, and we do need partners for an unresolved topic so far. So the refugee crisis will continue. We may have a pause at the very moment, but others will come. We will have climate change refugees. We will have others coming from Africa to the European Union. And of course, that has led, and Maria, you have pointed it out before, to even more anti-EU sentiments across the European Union. So we have Le Pen in France, we have Kaczynski in Poland, we have the Austrian guy, we have a far-right movement now also in Germany. So if one country starts to step out now, we will have harsh discussions in other member states as well, and that's one of the reasons why I say we are sliding now into an era of desolidarization. And regardless, and that's somehow the crux of the whole thing, regardless of how it turns out to be at the end of the day, Europe will be weaker.